Welcome to Top Practices, where we explore the top practices of dentistry's top practices. If you believe there is always room for improvement and that it is easier to copy the genius of others than it is to figure everything out on your own, then get ready to explore proven ideas, techniques, and systems that will continue to make your practice a top practice. And now your host, Steve Anderson.
Welcome to Top Practices, where we examine the habits of dentistry's top practices. I'm Steve Anderson. I was sitting down for dinner at Pebble Beach with a group of 100 CEOs from around the world. The occasion was a coach's clinic where we were learning lessons that could be applied to business from some of professional sports' top athletes and coaches. It was open seating at dinner that evening, so I introduced myself to a fellow CEO from another part of the country, and we settled into a conversation about what we had learned that day from the various sessions and speakers. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed someone that sat down to my right at the head of the table. When there was a pause in the conversation, I turned to introduce myself, and there sat Coach Chuck Daly. Chuck Daly, retired at that point from professional coaching, had spent years as the head coach of the Detroit Pistons. His real claim to fame, however, came when he was tapped to be the coach of the 1992 Olympic Dream Team. It was the first year that professional basketball players were permitted to play in the Olympics. The United States assembled the most amazing team that had ever been organized in the game of basketball. It included all of the greats of that era, including Charles Barkley, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, David Robinson, Scottie Pippen, Karl Malone, Larry Bird, Patrick Ewing, and others. So there he was, sitting at my side, captive for dinner, the man who had coached an entire team of world-class athletes. Here was an opportunity to learn firsthand from one of the great coaches of all time. So, not wanting to waste a great learning opportunity, we launched into one of the most interesting dinners I have ever had, with learning that would change the course of my career. Chuck Daly has since passed on, but the lessons learned that evening will endure for years to come. Now, during that dinner conversation, Coach Daly managed to slip in a few questions of his own between the barrage of questions that I posed to him. One of those questions was this. He said, "Steve, what is a coach's job?" A simple enough question, so I thought. So I responded with the job description. Recruit, train, strategize, call the plays, decide who plays, and the list went on. Those are all the things that a coach does, he said, but a coach's job or main objective is different. A player's job, he said, is to play. A coach's job is to make sure the team wins. While the team is playing, the coach is plotting, planning, and strategizing for the ultimate score to be in his or her team's favor. Everything a coach does is focused on that. Every great team has a coach. Every great player has a coach. That was one of the biggest takeaways from my time with Coach Daly. Yes, too often we think the coaching rule only applies to sports. And could I suggest that the same rule applies to business and to each of us personally and professionally? Every team in business needs a coach. Each of us needs a coach in the various roles and responsibilities we play in life. So, if you want to win and win even bigger, here are some tips that has to do with finding and working with the right coach, as well as the different forms a coach can take. Let's take a look. If it's the coach's job to make sure the team wins, there are three primary things a coach does that directs and guides the team to that objective. The coach, 1, focuses on the strategy or the big picture. 2, identifies blind spots. And 3, helps to develop the playbook. First, the coach focuses on the strategy or the big picture. While a player is thinking about the execution of the play at hand, the coach is thinking about the next play, the next down, the next quarter, all the way to the end of the game. What has to happen now to be in the best position later on to win the game? That's what a coach is thinking. Who needs to be on the field or on the court? Who needs to be playing later on? Any good coach has a game day strategy that increases the odds of winning. Every great team has to have both a strategy and good execution on the tactics. As Coach Daly said, it's the player's job to play. It's the player's job to execute on the tactics on every play. A coach can't do that for the player. That's the player's job. Meanwhile, the coach is deciding which play to call, which strategy to choose. While a player is thinking tactically and specifically, the coach is thinking objectively and strategically. It's very difficult to do both at the same time. In fact, you can't do both at the same time. Translate these same principles into the practice of medicine. Let's say that you were going in for a surgical procedure. Would you want your surgeon to be thinking like a coach or a player? Would you want the surgeon thinking about his or her own practice, patient flows, supply costs, employee hiring, or the best location for the next office move while she's making the incision? I think not. The best surgeon would be playing the game in the operating room, while a coach would be elsewhere thinking strategically about the next moves down the road that the practice needs to make. It's the player's job to play and the coach's job to think strategically so that the team will win. Now, in the same way, who's the coach in dentistry? If your first thought was the dentist, think again. How effective would a professional basketball team be if the center on the team was also the coach, the manager of the team, and the owner of the team? It would never work because you can't think in that many ways all at the same time. The dentist is not the coach. He or she may do some coaching from time to time on specific topics like clinical technique and how to do certain things in the office, and may think strategically about the practice, but make no mistake, the dentist is not the coach. Or at least, if she's trying to be, the practice is not as effective as it could be if there were a legitimate coach. Coaches coach and players play. It's difficult to do both at the same time. Second, the coach identifies blind spots. By taking a step back and looking at the big picture, a coach can identify things that a player can't see. Those blind spots can come in different varieties, like entropy, systems that come out of alignment gradually over time that need to be put back into place, bad habits that creep in over time that need to be corrected, skills that become rusty or forgotten that need to be retrained, systems that are missing that need to be put in place because the team has moved to a different level. Now, all of those things are things that a coach observes from the sidelines and can see the exact tactics the players are employing so that the strategy can be put in place and kept in place. Are the players executing on the basics? Are they deploying the strategy that's been planned? Legendary coach Bum Phillips, who coached the New Orleans Saints and the Houston Oilers, once said that if he could get 100% of the players executing 100% of the basics 100% of the time, the team would go to the Super Bowl. A coach is always watching for execution. That's part of the bigger strategy. When execution is off, the coach decides which of the basics to emphasize during the next practice. Deciding what to practice and how much to practice is a part of a winning strategy. It's what a good coach does. Third, the coach helps develop the playbook. Every team has a way they play the game. The overall strategy is made up of specific plays. The coach develops those plays at every point of the game. Now, I happen to live in a town in Texas that has one of the winningest high school football programs in the state. Friday night lights shine bright in our town. The football program is known for its offensive playbook. The team has used that same offensive playbook for years. And even though the competition knows it, the execution is the key. The same playbook is used in the lower grades and even in Little League, so that by the time a player gets to first string varsity, the execution of the plays is nearly automatic. The coaches have developed a consistent playbook that is practiced over and over again. Everyone plays from the same playbook. Every great team has a playbook. It's how they play the game. The coach develops the playbook and then coaches the team to execute. It's what a great coach does. It's a player's job to play. It's the coach's job to make sure the team wins. A good coach does that by 1, focusing on strategy, 2, identifying blind spots, and 3, developing the playbook by which the team plays the game. Now, when we come back, we'll take a look at 3 different types of coaches you can have for your practice and how they can dramatically improve your performance. Support for top practices comes from the Total Patient Service Institute, helping your team hear yes more often from your patients. Every day at the Total Patient Service Institute is filled with reports of great results coming in from practices all over the country, where the TOPS Practice Advisor team has been working on site and hand in hand to increase practice productivity and results. Here's just a sample from the mailbag. How about this? We just finished up for the year. We blew through our goals this year by $200,000 in both production and collections. We are past our old production numbers by a long way and with less working days. Thank you for all you do for me, my team, and my family. That's from Dr. Chris, a dentist. How about this one? Totally unexpected and absolutely awesome. The TOPS team relates so very well to dental team members and immediately gets in step with the entire office. You have true winners in the TOPS team. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts, from Dr. Wayne. And finally, collections are up over $250,000 this year, and net income should be up 12 to 14%. Thanks for flexing your team style to fit our office and helping me live my vision, from Dr. Kyle. The TOPS Practice Advisor team consists of highly trained and very experienced dental coaches who identify the biggest areas of opportunity in the practice and then implement and train on those systems to increase case acceptance, production, and profitability. For a complimentary practice growth analysis of some of the biggest opportunities in your own practice, email the Total Patient Service Institute at answers@totalpatientservice.com or call 877-399-8677. Request your practice growth analysis today to uncover hidden opportunities that will take your practice to the top. Welcome back to Top Practices, where today we are looking at the value of a coach to any team. So far, we've identified that it's the player's job to play, and it's the coach's job to make sure the team wins. Coaches focus on strategy, identify blind spots, and develop the playbook. So how does coaching specifically relate to your practice? Who's your coach? There are at least 3 different types of coaches that you can take advantage of for your practice. Here they are. 1, the informal mentor coach. 2, the formal professional coach. Or 3, a mastermind group or board of advisors. Let's take a look at each and how you can make them work. First, the informal mentor or coach. There are always things that we all need to learn how to do, things that will improve the practice or our performance in it. Those things need to be learned from someone who has already done it, who has the knowledge or part of it. If there's something you don't know how to do or specific knowledge that you're seeking, just ask. Find somebody who's done it and ask them how they did it. Let's say, for example, that you want to do more cosmetic dental cases in your practice. You've tried a number of things with moderate success and you want to do more. So, is it your technique, maybe your marketing, perhaps it's your case presentation that's off? Instead of suffering in silence, find an informal coach or a mentor that can help you develop a more effective strategy. You might call your dental lab and ask your technician who he or she works with that seems to be doing the most cosmetic dentistry. Could an introduction be provided so that you can learn from their expertise? Once you get in contact, ask what they do and how they do it. You might even arrange for a visit to their practice to see how things really operate firsthand. Simply asking for advice or asking how they do it is flattering. Most have had many people who have served as informal mentors or coaches along the way. So when someone asks them to share, they're more than willing to pass on what they have learned from others that's working. The mentoring can be as brief as a phone conversation, or it may turn into a longer relationship over time as you check in periodically for tips and ideas. Second, a formal coach. Just like a professional athlete or team has a professional coach, so can you. There are those who have refined professional coaching skills to the point that they can take your individual and team performance to a new level in a very short period of time. If you've ever had the experience of working out with a professional trainer, you know that the workout tends to be more intense, productive, and worthwhile because a trainer or a coach is going to push you harder and challenge you more than you might challenge yourself. That's the value of a professional coach. Just as there are skills that you have to develop to be an excellent clinician, there are skills that a professional coach develops that can take team performance to a level that they would not be able to reach on their own. A professional coach may be able to shortcut years of trial and error or be able to take your team to a level that you would never be able to reach on your own. That's the value of a professional coach. Third, a mastermind group. Author Napoleon Hill popularized the term mastermind in his best-selling book, Think and Grow Rich. In it, he defines a mastermind group as 2 or more minds joined in harmony with a common purpose. A mastermind group can consist of like-minded professionals that meet on a regular basis to gain from each other's wisdom and then implement that wisdom in their own lives. For decades, the Crown Council has organized dentists and key team members in mastermind groups that meet regularly in a proven format that allows individuals to share their wisdom and gain from the group at the same time. A mastermind group is a format that has been used through the ages as a way to gain coaching from a group of objective, like-minded individuals who have your best interest at heart. So, whether it be an informal coach, a professional coach, or a mastermind group, each type of coaching has its role and can play a powerful part in your formula for personal and practice success. So, you're playing the game of dentistry. As the player, it's your job to play the game. So, who's your coach? It's the coach's job to make sure the team, your team, wins. The coach focuses on strategy while you're playing the game. The coach identifies blind spots, your blind spots, so you can play more effectively. The coach helps develop the playbook so you can play in a unified way with your entire team. In a unified way to win. Is your coach an informal one, like a mentor or mentors that you turn to for advice from time to time? Is it a professional coach that is specifically charged with coaching you and your team so that you can win at a higher level? Or is it your mastermind group that you turn to on a regular basis for advice? Could I suggest that the best players, the best teams have all three: formal, informal, and a mastermind group? If you're missing one or missing all three, it's time to take the power of coaching to a higher level in your personal and professional life. It's just one more way to take your practice to the top.
You've been listening to Top Practices with Stephen J. Anderson. You can follow Steve on Instagram at @TheStephenJAnderson and on Facebook at Stephen J. Anderson. If you haven't yet, go to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, rate, and review this podcast. Join us next time. Thanks for listening.